Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today we're going to open up the Keurig K-Slim coffee maker. So the first thing, make sure it's unplugged. We're going to take these 4 screws off on the bottom. There's 2 in the back here, and then there's 2 in the front underneath these rubber plugs. These rubber plugs just pull out real simple. There's a number 1 Phillips underneath each one of those. So once we've got all 4 screws out, we need to get some of these tabs out. So take a straight slot screwdriver, and these tabs right here, we need to unhook these tabs by pushing them towards the center of the machine. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 total. And then that cover is going to pop off. These are the tabs that we're releasing. I broke one of the tabs on this one. But again, by just pushing them with a straight slot screwdriver, then we can disconnect them and pull it up. You may have to force your screwdriver in between that seam and kind of pry it up a little bit. It will cause just a little bit of damage, but we need to disconnect those. Now getting that back area disconnected was the hardest part. And then you just got to keep pulling and prying to get that cover off. It will come free. And then you got to open the handle, because then it needs to come past that handle area. And you're going to have to kind of open up the case to get it around that handle a little bit. Just keep pulling on it. It will keep coming straight up. Again, that back part kind of catches on some of the wiring and stuff, so be careful. Just keep pulling. And yeah, it catches right in there. So just pull up. And then you're going to have to kind of close the handle again to get it past the head there. And then it just pulls straight off. And there we have the outside cover off. So I like to set the machine up. Now I like to snap it back onto the base because it kind of comes off out of that base area. So just snap it back on there so it'll sit nice and flush, nice and level. So here we have the Keurig K-Slim opened up. I'm going to explain it to you. So on this side, we got, this is called an air pump. And then here's your water pump. This is going to take the water from the reservoir and move it through the machine, heat it up, and then send it to the tube. Here's the tube that goes to the K-Cup. Is that the tube? Yeah, this is the tube that goes right to the K-Cup. There's our needle. There's an interesting little area right here. This is like a little flap. We can see our micro switch. There's a micro switch for the door right there. When we close this, you can hear that micro switch. It won't let the machine operate unless this handle's all the way closed. And the wires for that are right there. They go down in there. And there's a micro switch. So for me, one of the most interesting parts I found was there's 2 tubes going to the bottom of the reservoir. So when the reservoir is installed, the water just goes down into this single. There's like a check valve here, but it pushes the check valve down and water goes into both of those tubes. So I've pulled away the circuit card. It exposes this box. Now here's that box on off of another Keurig. It sits in there like this. So we got both of those lines going in the bottom of the reservoir go into this box. So this side of the box is for your water level. For it to say add water. This is your add water light. That's what these 2 wires are for. And this is for, I'm not sure what, that's like a sensor of some sort, but this is what goes to your pump. So what's really neat, so the other end of this pipe just goes to a vent. If we follow it up, it goes right here. Right there. That's just a hole on the other side of this. That's just a vent to let the water go up in that. But what I noticed is so see how I got water in the tank? And when I put it in, I don't know if you can see it, but the water goes up in that box. And it matches, whatever the water level in here is, it matches that box. So that's why your add water light comes on and there's still a bunch of water left in your box, or in your reservoir. Because once it gets down below where these 2 wires if it's right here, you get continuity between these two wires and your add water light will go out. But once the water level in this box goes down, you don't get continuity and your add water light comes on, even though you've got a bunch of water left in here. So I just thought that was very interesting. That's how that works. After that, it's pretty straightforward. This is your pump. So your pump's going to suck water out of that box, which comes from the reservoir. Shoots it over to here to this manifold. It goes into this manifold right here, and then it's going to come out. But before it gets to the manifold, it goes to a Y. So it's going to go. So it comes out of the pump, it goes to this Y. And that's where the air pump comes in. So towards the end of your brew, you'll hear kind of a gush out of it. It turns the air pump on for like the last 4 or 5 seconds. It pumps air into this line to kind of force the water out of your heating element and out of the tube. So you don't have water sitting in your tube. So the water is in this tube here. That tube goes into your heating element right here. So it goes in and out. Yeah, so that comes in the heating element right here. It goes out one heating tube, goes over to the other side. There's like a dual heating tube, and it goes in, and then it finally comes out on that other side. When the water comes out of that heating tube, there's this manifold up here, and this is what it looks like. So this just goes to another vent on the other side here. This is like a check valve. This is like your overpressure relief. So if it overpressurizes, it's just going to vent out this line. You'll get a bunch of steam around your lid. But then it's going to come out this line right here, which is this line. And this line right here goes to, wraps underneath here, goes right there, and goes to the needle. Kind of an interesting side note. They do tap off of that manifold with just this little bitty line, and that's just for pressure. They send pressure to this circuit card. It connects to the circuit card right there. And then they call this a pressure probe mounted on the circuit card. And the circuit card says Keurig, Dr. Pepper. So interestingly enough, they don't use zip ties. These tubes are just pressed on there. So they maybe could have leaked. These seem like they're pretty tight. These all seem pretty tight. It's got like a barb fitting. So everything does seem pretty tight. But if you did spring a leak, that may be where it could be coming from, is one of these tubes. Now, surprisingly, again, this was a very well-used Keurig machine. The tubes don't have, I don't see any mold growth. I don't see any calcium buildup. They look really nice and clean. And there is a ribbon cable that goes down and connects to the circuit card. That's for the control panel up here. And these green and red wire, that's for the probe. That's for the add water light, pressure sensors, and pump and air pump. Oh, there's your pump and air pump. So see, my add water light is on, and I got a bunch of water in the reservoir, but it's not high enough to put out in that box. Okay, so let's just do a brew. The pump is kicked on. That pump right there is kicked on. Alright, so we're starting to get some water out. We can see the water flowing in the line. The water's really hot. If we check that temperature and heating element, and then here towards the end, this air pump will kick on. So it's a very quiet coffee maker. The pump is very quiet. And it's able to heat that water as it's moving it through there. So as it moves, it doesn't have a tank that stores the water like the old Keurigs. Okay, so it just kicked the air pump on. And I can see air going through the line now. It's kind of cleaning out the line, and then it turns off. So yeah, that heating element in there gets really hot. So when we descale this Keurig, this is what we're descaling. That's an aluminum heating element. And inside there, minerals will build up and close off that port. It'll make it smaller, make it harder for the water to get heated. It won't brew as much coffee. And your coffee could start to taste bad. So when we descale, that's what we're descaling. Inside that aluminum. Now the vinegar and the solution goes through the tubing too. But it's not really the tubing that needs cleaning a whole lot. It's mainly the inside of that heating element. So this was just kind of a fun video. I like to take these open. I bought this one used off of eBay for $23. Wasn't working, but all it needed was descaled. This was the K-Slim. Check out my next video. I'm going to show you the differences between a K-Slim. This is the K-Supreme. And there's just one major difference, and I'll show you. Thanks everybody for watching. And I'm also going to do a K-Mini. So the K-Mini, I've been reading online, it's been having a lot of problems. People keep asking me about leaking water. So I'm going to open up a K-Mini and a K-Mini Plus. Thanks again for watching.